Super late, but my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Greetings, all of you small people out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, back again with another movie review. And I have to admit I'm kind of sad, because I actually really enjoyed this movie. There were things in it and about it, certain elements that I didn't quite vibe with, certain characters just weren't really doing it for me, but as a whole, I actually really liked this movie and thought it was a good progression in terms of the Ant-Man and Wasp movies. You start with Scott Lang basically having everything finally going his way. The first movie, everything's really down on his luck. Second movie is still kind of down on his luck. And then this movie, things look up, kind of go down, and then look up again. But with an ominous nature in the background to a certain degree. But he's famous for essentially being one of the elements crucial to saving the world. And I love that we finally get to hear elements from his book, which people even say, like, no, it's actually an actually good book. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, hey, if it's a bestseller, it makes a lot of sense, but damn. I mean, he's in a relationship with Hope, who's taken back her parents' company, and she has become this massive CEO, and she's doing really well. Her parents, they're spending this time together, and then there's Cassie, who's getting herself into trouble, but she's getting herself into trouble for all the right reasons. Honestly, it makes so much sense when you see the relationship that Scott had with his daughter in the first two movies. How she turns out makes a lot of sense, because she gets herself in trouble doing the exact same kind of stuff that Scott did. In the first movie, he's getting out of jail because he was helping people. He got in trouble, but by doing something fairly noble. Second movie, once again, he's on house arrest for doing something fairly noble. And here, Cassie is the one who's been locked up, at least momentarily, because she used PIM particles to shrink a cop car because they were accosting peaceful protesters. She's determined to follow in her father's footsteps, and to a certain degree, she kind of somewhat looks down on her father because he's trying not to go in that direction and trying not to steer her in that direction. That's the main crux of this movie. The fact that Cassie is becoming like her father, and her father sees that and is kind of trying not to steer her in that direction, but at the same time it's like, but she's doing these quote-unquote bad things for all the right reasons. And from that perspective, it's a great movie! Literally, that is like the main takeaway I took from this movie, which made it so near and dear to me. And she's even been studying with Hope and Hank technology. She's a little genius. And she wants to create this device to map out the quantum realm without going down there, because Janet hasn't been sharing anything about her time down there. But apparently that was for good reason. She wants nothing to do with that place because of who she left down there. She thinks, well, it's far away, we're not going to deal with that, we're not going to mess with that, we'll just, no, none of that. But when Cassie tries to, do a little bit of echolocation, send a signal out, get a signal back, they're suddenly sucked into the quantum realm. Scott is with Cassie, Hope is with her parents, which again, really showing the thing of children and their parents and their dynamics. With Hope and Hank finding out that Janet had essentially been down there with this guy who is none other than Kang. And at first they got along really well. They bonded, they helped each other. He had this ship down there. If they could get it back up and running, they could escape. But when she touched the main central engine thingamajig, she saw visions of all the things he had done previously. And she saw that he had conquered and hurt and done all these terrible things, and she's just like, oh no, you're not getting out of here. And then she causes his engine orb whatever to just expand and contract and just go all wonky so that he can't access it properly. And so eventually she was taken out of there and he was trapped. But while he was still down there, he created an empire, enslaving and killing the people of this microverse, which I forget what it was originally called, what the Quantumania was originally called, but because of copyright reasons, they couldn't call it that. I've heard people talk about how disjointed it all feels because there's so many races and populaces and so many characters look so different down there, but that's because there have been multiple characters who have shrunk to microscopic sizes and encountered various different planets essentially down there. It's a galaxy unto itself down there in the quantum realm. And that's why it kind of gives off the vibe of alien worlds, because it essentially kind of is. And so Janet comes across an old friend of hers, played by Bill Murray, who was... Bill Murray. I'm not gonna get into that, but he kind of double crosses her, but it's also implied that they were in a relationship, and I thought that would cause some friction between her and Hank, but Hank's just like, it's 30 years, I, saw other people as well, and it just didn't work out, which I thought that was a very adult moment. And Hope, she's kind of mostly along for the ride, but at the same time, she's there for the people she loves constantly throughout every moment. So that was one of my gripes, just that Hope didn't really have a lot to do. The Wasp, in terms of the title, is mostly Janet. She is a big proponent of all of this. Meanwhile, with Cassie and Scott, they come across these refugees, and the moment of, drink the ooze, which allows them to be able to understand all these alien languages. And I wonder if that's just a part of their biology now, or what, because Janet came out of the quantum realm and she could still understand people, but she still drank the ooze at a bar, but she still could understand the alien languages as well. So I'm not quite sure. I do wonder if that'll ever come up later down the line, at least for Cassie. But they're with these refugees who at first are skeptical of them, but when they find out they don't know anything, they're just like, cast them out because they come from up above, and Kang will be looking for them, but Kang already finds them. His forces start razing this place to the ground, and they're encountered by the worst CGI I have ever seen. I am forgiving about a lot of things. And to be honest, this character, it's MODOK. I won't beat around the bush. It's MODOK. When the faceplate is down and he has the angry look with the glowing eyes, looks pretty cool. Still kind of silly because it's MODOK, but it looks pretty cool. But as soon as the faceplate comes up and you find out it's Darren Cross and he has this big old CGI face and he has this shit-eating grin, and it's just, oh my god, I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it. Every time the faceplate came up, especially when the faceplate came up, because when he's just the face, it's not too bad. And you adapt to it after a certain point. But when you see the faceplate down and you see how cool and menacing he looks, and then the faceplate comes up, I'm just like, oh, no, you just reminded me of how terrible it is. Oh my god, I hate it so much. Oh my god, it's so bad. It is so bad. Because the thing is, this is a heavy CGI movie. And it makes sense that it is. The landscapes, a lot of the characters, there's CGI everywhere. And to have this glaringly terrible thing of CGI, just oof. You just use the blow up feature on his face and it looks bad, man. It looks bad. Just oof. Man, is it bad? It's so bad. It is so bad. It's even worse than what I saw in the trailers. It's so bad. But Darren, he got jacked up. He shrunk all wrong and his body was permanently deformed when Kang found him. And I don't even know why Kang kept him. Maybe he thought that since Darren had worked with Hank, Janet's husband, maybe he could be of some use in terms of shrinking technology and all that. But I mean, as MODOK, he doesn't really do any shrinking. He just has weapons. He's just a lackey. And Kang doesn't even like him that much. He seems to have really thought that Darren was maybe going to be a replacement for Janet. And he even says it just like, yeah, he's no Janet. But honestly, the backstory between Janet And Kang, phenomenal. I loved how you couldn't quite tell, he seemed sympathetic, but I was hoping it was going to be more of this is a Kang who's lost, and he just wants to get out and maybe move on with his life, because he lost. He lost. He was defeated by, they don't really make it clear. I think it was the Council of Kangs, or maybe it was the Avengers. He says he's killed other Avengers before, but he says that, and I'm like, you can tell me that, but bro, I've read Avengers comics. A lot of characters have been Avengers. For all I know, you've killed the Great Lakes Avengers. And more specifically, you've killed Mr. Immortal, which if you've seen She-Hulk, that's not really an accomplishment. But he kind of implies he's killed Thor, and I'm just like, man, I wish you at least showed me Kang, like, standing over the bodies of dead Avengers or something. But the most we see is a glimpse of Kang just blasting people and disintegrating them. And don't get me wrong, Kang's pretty hard edge, but he's in a movie to be defeated by Ant-Man. And don't get me wrong, I've seen Scott Lang beat up Doctor Doom. It was pretty badass. But you needed the right circumstances for that, and the circumstances are right. Because while Scott and Cassie are captured, he threatens Cassie and tells Scott to shrink back down the big old globe engine thingy, but he has to enter it in order to be able to shrink it down. And there's this trippy moment where there's multiple Scotts, all of his possible cells, and I love this moment because at first they're disjointed, they're freaking out, they're dying from trying to grab the thing, doing stupid stuff. I love that there's even one possibility that's Baskin-Robbins Scott, and it's just like, but how would he have gotten down here if he never wore the Ant-Man suit? And the fact that only in one possibility was he ever going to continue working for Baskin-Robbins. But the thing that causes them all to come together is when they hear Cassie's voice over Scott's comms, and that's how you can tell who the real Scott is, because he's the only one receiving a comm signal, and they all come together like a colony of ants trying to raise Scott up in order to get to what he needs to do. But he fires off one of the shrinking discs and it gets immediately fried, and then the tower that they all form collapses, but enter the Wasp, and she has all these possibilities too, but both Scott and Hope, their possibilities all come together when it comes to helping each other. And like, I love that, because it's just like when it comes to their, family, that's what causes them to come together. It's actually incredibly sweet, and that's the thing, like, there are just these very sweet moments, specifically when it comes to Scott and Cassie, that I love to death, because I love their relationship in the other movies, and it feels like it came to a head here, because Cassie has her own suit, and I love the moment where Scott is trying to teach her, it's just like, no, you jump and tap, or else you're not really gonna get the force you need when you're striking bad guys, when you're miniature. And I'm just like, I just love that. It's adorable. But they managed to shrink the orb back down. Janet comes in and says that they need to keep it away from Kang, but he shows up, absolutely owns Scott and Hope, and kidnaps Janet, gets the energy source. But Cassie's running around in Kang's base, manages to free a lot of the people, the rebel people, and she and the rebel leader go off to send a signal out that Kang, he can be defeated. If we rise up, come together, stop him, we can do the deed. Meanwhile, Scott and Hope wake up to Hank, whose ants, because in his lab before they were sucked into the quantum realm, he had these ants that he had made fairly intelligent enough to build their own tech. They were brought into the quantum realm with them too, but they remained at a specific size, but they're all like the size of friggin' cars, and they've experienced essentially hundreds of years of evolution, so they've just been building and creating and evolving and growing, and by the time Hank's there, he's managed to get in contact with them, and they are helpful as all get out. These huge old bugs, and I have a phobia, and man, Honey Shrunk the Kids was not fun for me. I enjoyed the movie, I've watched it multiple times, but giant ants, oh god, giant ants, giant bugs, oh god, I hate it so much, but they're so helpful, so I'll roll with it. But Hope and Scott storm Kang's base. I love this moment where Scott is just giant sized and he's wrecking shit. He is wrecking shit. Just going all King Kong, pissed off at what Kang did. But after a certain point, they get outnumbered by all of Kang's forces. In comes everyone who heard Cassie's message coming in, fighting, doing all these battles. It's a really nice, inspiring moment because it's Cassie actually doing what she set out to do, making a difference, helping people. Again, another thing that kind of felt like it came full circle to a certain degree. Like, again, I love that element of this movie. And the rebels are doing pretty good. That is until Kang comes in and he just starts killing people. He is killing people left, right, and center. Even one of the coolest of the rebel faction that I saw, this big old dude with like what looked like a jar head that he could fire energy blasts out of. I love that design. And of course he was the one to die. That was a bummer. But Kang just whoops everyone's butt. That is until Hank comes in with a legion of ants. It is so many giant, technologically inclined and intelligent ants. They're coming in with mechs. They're coming in with blasters. They're coming in with technology. It's just like, yeah, Kang, in and of himself, he is a force to be reckoned with. But the ants have sheer numbers. And he is overrun. And I'm like, yep, that'd do it. That'd do it. Like, he's just overrun by these millions of ants and their advanced technology. It is the stuff of nightmares. I've had nightmares about just ants everywhere. Just one in particular nightmare. And I've been bitten by ants doing the yard and stuff, man. The damage they could do with one bite. And thinking of them huge and gnawing at you. No. But the day is saved. Kang is essentially defeated. Everyone finds a way back home. That is until Kang, busted, bloody, and broken, but not down, comes in and he gets into a fist fight with Scott, and Scott is woefully out of his depth. Oh man, he gets in a few good hits because he's trained with hope. But, if you've seen Jonathan Majors in Creed 3, it's just like, that ass whooping, though. But Hope comes in, blasts away at Kang, puts some discs on his little engine thingy again, and causing it to be unstable in a whole other way, and it sucks him in and it apparently kills him, which, again, kind of anticlimactic, because all Kang really did in this movie was postulate and speechify and monologue and this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, look, you can talk all you want, but I need to see some action, baby, which is why when he just started coming out and just killing people by the dozens, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, he's pretty formidable. But thanks to Cassie, Scott and Hope are able to go home. Everything is as it should be, but the one thing lingering in Scott's mind is that Kang kept saying that he has to get out, he has to take them down, you need me, I'm the only one who could possibly stop them, yada yada yada, and you find out at the end of in the mid-credit scene that who he was trying to stop was the Council of Kangs. You see the Rama-Tut variant and the Silver Centurion and all these other Kangs, Scarlet Centurion, I think. And they're coming together in alliance, and they're just like, hey, these Avengers, they're meddling with the multiverse, and I think it's high time we beat that ass. And so they're ready to go out and take on some Avengers. Which, that really shows what this has all been about. In Loki, you saw a Kang, He Who Remains, who was basically a retired Kang. He long since been in retirement and he was ready to just shuffle off this mortal coil. He was done with all of his living, essentially. And he was pretty fun. And this was the Kang who had been defeated. He was broken, but he was desperate to get back in the game. He still thought he had something to offer, and that's why he was able to be defeated by Scott. At first you had a Kang, He Who Remains, who was ready to die. Here you had a Kang who had already been defeated before, Thor and was desperate to get back his glory. So we have to have a Kang later down the line who is at least formidable, is comparable to whoever he takes on. He has to, do a little bit more damage, because that's the only selling point to this Kang guy. And with Thanos, he sent his minions, and when he entered the scene, he was a force to be reckoned with. But here, we're already dealing with Kangs, and we've essentially killed two now. But the thing about Kang that should be made to show that he is dangerous is that you kill one, it's like a Hydra. Two more will take his place. There's always another Kang. But I wonder, with Jonathan Majors being in the hot water he's been in, who knows if he'll reappear. I think I heard that he'll be in another project, but I think the situation that he's under, things are kind of going in his favor from what I've heard, so who knows? I mean, he can stay out of trouble, maybe. And you even have a end credit scene where you see Loki and Mobius in, the early 1900s? The 1910s? Meeting with another variant of Kang. I think it was Victor Timely. So a lot of comic book references and Easter eggs, and can't wait for the new season of Loki, that'll be fun. But I forgot to mention that, Darren Cross, he's kind of just a lackey throughout this, and sometimes MODOK kind of is that. If you watch the old Iron Man cartoon, he's essentially what MODOK was to the Mandarin in that series. MODOK tends to be a lackey. It's just, man. MODOK can look creepy in a lot of his incarnations, but this one was for all the wrong reasons, and he has a fight with Cassie, who manages to kind of get one over on him, Cassie tells him to stop. Another inspirational moment where she's just like, hey, just don't be a dick. And he sacrifices himself, taking on Kang, because he just didn't want to go out a dick. But his dying moment is just so played up for laughs that I'm just like, what even was that, man? Like, this movie was going for more of a serious tone, and the humor injected just was not doing it for me. And I think it just was because it was everything with MODOK specifically. Other humorous scenes, I had a fun time, but just the MODOK stuff, it was oof. I just could not, man. I could not with that MODOK stuff. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I mean, I loved a lot of the portrayals here. Scott, what we had of hope, but Janet was a standout. Michelle Pfeiffer, oh man, she was killing the game. Like, she had so many action scenes. Like, let it never be said that Michelle Pfeiffer still don't got it going on. Even if it was a stunt double doing some of the action scenes, she made that shit look good. But Hank had some great moments, and Cassie was a major standout. Kang, when he was in action, a good villain, but when he wasn't, I could see people going one way or the other, and I've heard people going one way or the other. Some didn't think he was effective, some loved him. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know, I guess it's because with Thanos was kind of similar until you saw him beating down Thor, beating down the Hulk, just beating everyone down, and it's just like, okay, this dude can back up what he's saying, jeebus. And in the end, I know a lot of people look down on the Thanos in Endgame because, he comes from a different time. He's not the Thanos who won. No, he was still a formidable SOB. And I love the fact that you had to get crafty in order to take this dude down. It took a trick in the end in order to stop him, because he was going to win. But my fear is that by the time we really get to see Kang in all of his fearsome glory, we'll be tired of seeing the guy so much. I mean, shoot, we got tired of seeing Thanos constantly in his chair of authority, saying he's going to do something, alluding he's going to do something, and never doing it. But it made it worth the wait until we actually saw him doing something. So I don't know. If Marvel plays this right, this could be a great build-up. But if they play it wrong, people might be sick of this guy. It's just like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, man? So we'll see. We'll see. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about the movie? It did not do well in the box office. I hate to hear that. And it was apparently crucified by reviewers, but audience still seemed to actually really enjoy it. So I don't know. This one ended up weirdly polarizing. I think for some people, Ant-Man was that funny haha escape, and this just ended up being a more serious Marvel affair, which is ironic because, during the time this came out, people were just like, no, we need more serious stuff. And this is following Black Panther, like, serious stuff. Like, come on. Oh well, what do I know, right? Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks for checking out this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.